we talk about leadership in relationships, most people immediately think of authority or dominance, but that is far from the truth. What women deeply long for, often without putting it into words, is emotional leadership. This isn't about control, it's about stability. It's about a man who knows how to hold space, who can stand steady when emotions are running high, who can create a sense of grounding when storms of uncertainty or insecurity appear. In moments of chaos, what brings comfort is not someone who has all the answers, but someone who does not crumble when things feel overwhelming. Emotional leadership is about being that calm center, that safe space where her emotions are not only acknowledged, but embraced without judgment. Think about how powerful it is when someone feels safe to fully express themselves. In many cases, women carry the weight of unspoken emotions, fears, and worries, not because they don't want to share, but because they're unsure if it will be received with patience. When a man takes the role of emotional leadership, he shows that he isn't afraid of feelings. He doesn't run away when there are tears, and he doesn't shut down when there's frustration. Instead, he provides presence, and presence is the greatest form of strength. It communicates silently. You don't have to hide here. You don't have to hold back. I can handle the depth of what you feel. This kind of leadership creates an invisible bond of trust. A woman doesn't want someone who dictates how she should feel. She wants someone who can walk with her through the landscape of those emotions. It is a kind of strength that requires no force, a kind of power that shows up quietly but transforms everything. It doesn't matter if the challenge is small or life-changing. What matters is the ability to remain steady, compassionate, and available. That's the true sign of emotional leadership, being the anchor when the waves rise. Now, let's be clear. Emotional leadership doesn't mean you have to be emotionless. In fact, it's the opposite. It's about understanding your own emotions deeply enough that you are not ruled by them. You can feel, but you don't let those feelings drown you. That self-awareness allows you to show up for someone else without collapsing into the storm. Imagine how reassuring it is when a woman can lean into a man who listens, not to fix, but to truly understand. Imagine the comfort of knowing that when she speaks her truth, she won't be met with dismissal, but with genuine attention. That is the essence of emotional leadership. And here's the truth. Women admire this kind of strength far more than they admire surface level confidence or charm. Because in the end, charm fades, appearances shift, but emotional presence builds unshakable connection. A man who can lead emotionally becomes a source of calm, not just for her, but for the relationship as a whole. He becomes the reminder that no matter what comes, they can face it together. Women may not always voice it, but what they secretly want is to feel that sense of emotional grounding from a man. To know that when her world feels heavy, there is someone who won't run away, but will stand there as a steady foundation. It is one of the deepest desires hidden beneath the surface of what women truly long for. And when a man learns to embody this, he steps into a level of leadership that not only transforms the relationship, but also elevates his own sense of self. Because in the end, emotional leadership is not about controlling the direction of her feelings. It's about guiding the energy of the relationship with compassion, presence, and unwavering steadiness. And that is where true connection begins. Do you want me to expand key point 2 next in the same 600-word natural speech flow? When we speak about leadership in a relationship, one of the most overlooked yet deeply desired aspects is decisiveness. Women, often without even realizing it, feel more at ease when a man can confidently make decisions. This does not mean he dismisses her input or controls every outcome. Rather, it reflects his ability to take initiative, to step forward with clarity, and to show that he can guide a situation without hesitation. Imagine how exhausting it is to always be the one deciding where to go, what to do, or how to move forward. Many women carry that burden silently, wishing their partner would take the lead in those small but meaningful choices. Decisiveness communicates strength. It reassures her that she doesn't always have to carry the responsibility of guiding the path. A decisive man doesn't wait endlessly for someone else to take the first step. He listens, he considers, and then he chooses. Whether it's as simple as deciding where to have dinner or as significant as making a career move that impacts the relationship, decisiveness shows a willingness to step into leadership with confidence. This is attractive not because it strips her of choice, but because it demonstrates that he is unafraid of responsibility. Responsibility is, after all, one of the purest forms of masculine strength. A woman feels safe when she knows her partner won't crumble under the pressure of making decisions, big or small. Now, it's important to understand that decisiveness doesn't mean stubbornness. A man who leads well is open to discussion, receptive to feedback, and respectful of her voice. The difference is that after listening, he doesn't remain stuck in hesitation. He takes what was shared, he processes it, and then he makes a clear move. That decisiveness creates momentum in the relationship. Instead of stalling in uncertainty, the relationship flows forward with energy. A woman secretly admires a man who knows how to act because it makes her feel that she can relax, trust, and lean into the relationship without having to constantly push it forward herself. Think of how powerful it feels when you're with someone who can confidently take the wheel. It doesn't mean she has no say in the direction. It means she knows he won't leave the car sitting idly in neutral while waiting for someone else to decide where to go. That energy of initiative is magnetic. It signals that he is not passive in life or love, but actively creating, guiding, and shaping their shared experience. Women are naturally drawn to this type of decisiveness because it reflects stability and foresight, two qualities that create a sense of long-term security. And let's be honest, indecision drains attraction. When a man constantly hesitates, constantly second guesses, or always defers, it creates an invisible weight on the relationship. Instead of feeling inspired, a woman feels like she has to carry the leadership role herself, which over time breeds exhaustion and even resentment. On the other hand, when a man embraces decisiveness, she feels cared for, seen, and supported. She doesn't have to worry about whether he can handle things because his actions prove it. It is also worth noting that decisiveness extends far beyond everyday choices. It plays a role in how he leads with vision for the relationship itself. A man who is decisive has a direction, a sense of purpose, and the willingness to step toward it boldly. He doesn't just wait for life to happen, he creates life intentionally. That energy inspires her to dream alongside him because she knows she is with someone who doesn't just talk about possibilities, but acts on them. Ultimately, women secretly long for this decisiveness, not because they want someone to control their lives, but because they want someone they can trust to carry part of the weight of life's many decisions. When a man steps into this form of leadership, it allows her to soften, to rest, and to embrace her own feminine energy without constantly being forced into the role of planner or guide. It brings balance, harmony, and a deeper sense of partnership. Because at the heart of it all, decisiveness is not about taking power away. It's about using your strength to provide direction, clarity, and momentum. And when a man does this with respect and confidence, he steps into a role of leadership that makes the relationship not only stronger, but more magnetic. Do you want me to move on and expand key point 3 in the same natural speech style? One of the most powerful yet subtle ways women secretly want men to lead is by creating emotional safety. This is not about solving every problem or being endlessly positive. It's about providing an environment where she feels she can express her truth without fear of judgment, dismissal, or abandonment. Emotional safety is the foundation of trust. And when a man takes leadership in building this foundation, it changes the entire dynamic of a relationship. Think about it. Life is filled with pressures, expectations, and uncertainties. Women often carry hidden emotional burdens, whether it's stress from work, family responsibilities, or even unspoken insecurities. What they long for, often without ever saying it directly, is a partner who creates a space where they can simply be, a man who listens, who stays grounded when she is emotional, who doesn't make her feel too much or too complicated. That is a man who provides a kind of leadership that goes beyond words. It's not about fixing her problems, it's about being steady enough for her to open up fully. This form of leadership is quiet but deeply felt. When a man consistently shows that he can hold space without collapsing, withdrawing, or overreacting, it sends her a message: you are safe with me. That safety allows her to bring down her guard, to stop performing or pretending, and to connect authentically. And in truth, that's what every woman desires in a deep relationship: to be fully herself without fear that her honesty will push her partner away. Providing emotional safety also requires a man to lead with emotional maturity. That means not letting ego drive the interaction, not needing to always win an argument, and not running when things get tough. Instead, it's about demonstrating patience, empathy, and presence. When he chooses to respond instead of react, when he shows her that he can be trusted with her vulnerability, this is the type of leadership that doesn't demand recognition, but silently earns profound respect and devotion. Many men underestimate how powerful this truly is. They think leadership is only about action, decisiveness, or physical strength. But ask any woman who has experienced a relationship where emotional safety was missing. She will tell you it left her feeling unsettled, unseen, and exhausted. Conversely, when she is with a man who provides that emotional anchor, she flourishes. She feels more feminine, more expressive, more willing to love openly because she knows her heart is protected in his presence. It's important to remember that creating emotional safety doesn't mean a man has to be perfect. He doesn't have to always know the right words or have all the answers. What matters most is his consistency, his willingness to stay present even when emotions get messy, and his ability to reassure her through his calm strength. A woman can forgive mistakes, misunderstandings, even disagreements if she feels secure in knowing that he is still there, unwavering in his commitment to the relationship. This leadership also extends into moments of conflict. Every couple argues, but the difference between a destructive argument and a constructive one often comes down to whether emotional safety exists. If he leads by setting the tone, choosing respect over blame, solution over escalation, she feels that disagreements don't threaten the relationship. Instead, they become opportunities for growth and deeper connection. That is the quiet power of a man who leads through creating emotional safety. At its core, this kind of leadership allows love to deepen. Women secretly long for it because it liberates them from the constant need to self-protect. When they don't have to guard themselves, they can lean into the relationship fully, offering their affection, creativity, and energy without hesitation. And that creates a bond that is not only stronger, but also far more fulfilling for both partners. Because when a man leads with emotional safety, he doesn't just guide the relationship, he builds the sanctuary where love can truly thrive. Would you like me to expand key point 4 next in the same natural motivational speech style? Another powerful way women secretly want men to lead is through direction and vision. This is not about controlling every detail of a relationship or dictating her choices, but about showing clarity, decisiveness, and purpose in a way that inspires confidence. Deep down, most women don't want to feel like they're always the one steering the ship, making the plans, or carrying the burden of direction. They want to feel the strength of a man who knows where he's going, who has values and goals, and who can invite her into that journey with him. When a man demonstrates leadership through vision, he communicates stability. He shows that he isn't drifting through life aimlessly, but that he has a sense of who he is and where he's headed. That doesn't mean he has to have everything figured out, but it does mean he takes responsibility for moving forward with intention. A man who knows what he stands for, who makes decisions instead of endlessly hesitating, and who takes initiative in shaping his path sends a message of reliability. And that reliability makes her feel she can relax into the partnership instead of constantly having to step up and compensate. Imagine a simple situation like planning a weekend. A man who takes the lead might say, I've been thinking about what we could do Saturday. I'll handle the reservations and let's have the whole day to ourselves. It's not about control, it's about initiative. It's about taking the mental load off of her shoulders, about creating space where she doesn't always have to be the one organizing, arranging, or suggesting. This kind of leadership doesn't restrict her freedom. It allows her to breathe, to rest in the assurance that she's with someone who can make things happen. Visionary leadership also applies to the bigger picture of life. Women feel secure when they see that a man has drive, that he doesn't just exist day to day without ambition or direction. He doesn't need to be perfect, rich, or at the top of his career, but he needs to show movement. Even small steps toward growth signal that he is leading his own life and that leadership overflows into the relationship. A man who is building something meaningful, whether in his work, personal growth, or shared dreams, creates a current that she can trust and join. This doesn't mean she won't contribute her own vision. In fact, a relationship thrives when her input is valued and combined with his. But women often desire a man who can hold the map, who can see beyond the moment, who can inspire direction when life feels overwhelming. This leadership is not about dominance, it's about balance. It's about complementing her energy, giving her a sense that she doesn't have to carry everything on her own. Another element of this leadership is decisiveness. Indecision creates frustration. If every choice, big or small, is left hanging in limbo, she begins to feel unsafe or unseen. Leadership in this area doesn't mean ignoring her opinions. It means listening, weighing options, and then confidently making a choice. Even if adjustments are needed later, the fact that he is willing to take responsibility builds her trust. It's easy to think that leadership is only about big gestures, but often it's the consistent little things that matter most. Showing up on time, keeping promises, planning ahead, or taking initiative in resolving issues all speak volumes. Women want to feel that they can rely on their partner, not just emotionally, but also practically, and leadership through direction and vision fulfills that desire. In the end, this kind of leadership creates harmony. It allows her to lean into her feminine energy, knowing she doesn't have to constantly step into the role of planner, problem solver, or strategist. When a man leads with purpose, vision, and decisiveness, he invites her into a partnership where she can flourish alongside him, not in competition, but in balance. And that is where true connection deepens. Would you like me to move ahead and expand key point 5 in the same way? One of the most powerful yet subtle ways women secretly want men to lead is in the area of emotional steadiness. Leadership isn't only about action, planning, or direction. It's also about being the calm in the storm, the anchor when everything else feels uncertain. Women often desire a man who can hold his ground emotionally, who doesn't get easily shaken by stress, setbacks, or conflict. This doesn't mean being cold or suppressing feelings, but rather having the ability to respond instead of react, to remain grounded when things get tough, and to create an environment of emotional safety where she feels free to be herself. Emotional steadiness signals strength on a deeper level. Life will always bring challenges, arguments, financial strain, family issues, unexpected disappointments, and in those moments, the way a man carries himself matters immensely. A man who loses control, lashes out, or collapses under pressure creates instability, which naturally makes her feel unsafe. But a man who can take a deep breath, listen carefully, and remain centered shows that he can be trusted to weather storms without breaking. That kind of steadiness allows her to relax into the relationship, knowing she doesn't have to carry the emotional weight of both people. Women also look for this steadiness in everyday interactions. Something as small as handling disagreements without escalating or being patient when she's expressing herself emotionally communicates volumes. It says, I am not going anywhere. I can hold this space. That kind of leadership is subtle, but it is deeply felt. When a man stays grounded, he gives her the freedom to express her emotions without fear of judgment or rejection because she knows he won't be pushed away or destabilized by her vulnerability. Another layer of emotional steadiness is resilience. A man who can bounce back from setbacks, who doesn't let failures define him, becomes deeply attractive on a subconscious level. Resilience shows her that he is capable of leading not just himself, but also the relationship through difficult seasons. It doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means acknowledging challenges, but choosing to stand firm anyway. That energy radiates a sense of confidence and safety that women crave, even if they never say it out loud. Leadership in this way also builds respect. A woman who sees that her man can remain calm and steady even when emotions are high feels more inspired to follow his lead in other areas. It's not about him controlling her, it's about creating an atmosphere where both people can thrive. Emotional steadiness gives her permission to lean into her own emotions more fully, knowing there is balance, knowing she won't be met with chaos or instability in return. At the same time, emotional steadiness doesn't mean emotional distance. It's not about shutting down or avoiding vulnerability. It's about mastering one's inner world so that emotions are expressed with intention, not recklessness. When a man can say, I feel frustrated right now, but I want us to work through this. Instead of raising his voice or withdrawing, he demonstrates emotional maturity. That maturity is the quiet kind of leadership that builds intimacy and trust over time. Ultimately, women want a man who can be their safe harbor. They don't expect perfection, but they deeply appreciate consistency. The world can be unpredictable, but when she knows her partner is steady, grounded, and resilient, she feels secure in ways that words can't describe. That steadiness allows love to deepen, trust to flourish, and the relationship to feel like a true partnership where both can grow without fear.